Good evening. The school committee special session of November 19th, 2025 will now come to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing on the Methuen Public School website. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Oh, that's me tonight. Okay. DeZoglio, Donovan.
Here.
Keegan.
Here.
Maxwell.
Here.
Shabilia. Here. Willette.
Yep.
And Mayor Beauregard. And he's not up there yet. I was told the mayor will be joining us eventually online, so.
When he comes in, we need to just note what time
Acknowledge, yes.
he comes in. May I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Member Shabilia, second by Member Willette. You can, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous.
Let me see what he's doing. No news.
Can we please rise for the flag salute?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is no one here for public participation, so at this time, we will close public participation portion of this meeting. If you cannot make it the meeting in person for public participation, you can send an email to Susan Sconti at snsconti@methuen.k12.ma.us before 3 p.m. on the day of the school committee meeting. And Colleen, can we start the discussion on the superintendent RFP?
Yes, certainly.
She's the best.
So I passed out some information from some questions that you guys asked about what route we would go. So there's a few different routes that you can go. It is not Chapter 30B exempt. So we can do requests for quotes. And with that, we wouldn't be posting what we're looking for, but we would have to, in writing, send out the scope of work that we were looking for to a minimum of 3 vendors, and you would have to award to the lowest monetary responsible bidder.
Can I just jump in with a question? Because I want to clarify something you just said.
Sure.
So unlike bids we've done in the past, like we did the RFQ, whatever we did for the bus consultant, this one is going to be done where we're not going to be specific about what we want, right? We're going to say this is the oversight of what we want to accomplish. Give us your best plan to do it.
And your price.
And your price.
And you choose by lowest. The lowest monetary responsible bidder.
Right.
Okay. Second one is the sealed bid, which was like the transportation, where you put in your scope of work, you send them out, sealed. You have to post that one for a minimum of 14 days, exclusive of holidays. When you open those bids, it is awarded, again, lowest monetary. Now, the one that I've seen the most, which I gave you guys some examples of at the last meeting, was what I found on my listserv, is most communities are using the RFP. Again, this one needs to be posted for a minimum of 14 days, calendar days, exclusive of holidays. Then the next part is that you open up the technical side. So what's the vendor going to be able to provide for you? Each of you would score all the vendors with a rubric. Once the rubrics are all combined and a vendor is selected based on the rubric, then and only then you open up the monetary. And that's that you award, and then you open up the monetary proposal. And you only open up the one from the person that you've selected. And then you would award the contract. So it's your choice which route you want to go.
Vice Chair, I guess. Are we Wild Wild West in this? Is that what we're? All right. So my 2 cents, having spent the last 10 years doing RFPs, both inside and outside of state government, my recommendation would go the RFP route my logic there is we get to say, this is what we want accomplished, tell us how you want to do it. Because the reality is no one at this table is an expert in superintendent searches, but the people we're going out to are. And to remove all of the emotion and all the other things from it, this is the goal, this is what's important to us, tell us how you want to accomplish it. And then I also don't want to be stuck having to select the lowest bid, which RFQ would give us, which then you're getting garbage. I did talk to Ian before the meeting. He told me that we paid about $38,000 to MASC to run the last superintendent search, which was about 8 years ago. My concern with the RFP and having to use the bid that we select kind of blind is that it could be $1 million and we won't know. And I had this conversation with Colleen coming up the stairs into the building today that I think it's worth putting a cap in there. So let's say offers packages not to exceed, I don't know, $75,000. That way, even if we find one that we absolutely love and it's $70,000, we know that we've budgeted for it, or the next group has budgeted for it, or will budget for it, or we have to hit free cash. But that's my 2 cents, because RFP, I think, is going to give us the best ability to leverage the knowledge of the people that actually know things. Thank you.
So I would be in favor of that if it were a max of 50,000, because if it goes over 50,000, we have to go to city council. And so I would prefer to stay away from city council. And the one vendor that already came to us was able to keep it under 50,000, so I don't see why not.
I honestly am not seeing a problem with approaching the city council, because I don't want to lowball the final process. Obviously, there has to be a maximum cap. So on the proposal that was sent to us, obviously the $10,000, that's ridiculous. That's such a lowball offer. The high range was $100,000. Now, I don't know if that's relevant to today's dollars. It could be even worse, because if we're talking post-COVID, everything escalated by 40%. So I don't know if we can, within whatever we advertise, put a range, but I would be agreeable to that. We would do a hybrid approach if we financially put forward a contribution, and then obviously above that would have to be cleared by the city council. I want the city council involved, because I am not going to be in favor of a proposal that we game the system of lowballing and getting somebody just to do a cost savings. This is going to be a major impact to our school district going over the next 6 years, possibly. We're going to have to do major reforms as part of that. So I want to entice, with a solid foundation, as many candidates as possible across this region, hopefully across the nation if need be. So that would be my 2 cents on that. But I don't know if we can set, but obviously we would need to get approval beyond a certain amount with the city council, but we still have the time before January to do that with the existing city council and with the cooperation of the mayor. So that would be my contribution on that.
I can double check with the purchasing department. I was told that they've seen, they have put in previous RFPs not to exceed a cap. Not a range, but a cap.
Can we just do a quick point of clarification? Even if we said 50 and they do a Q&A session during the RFP process, if it comes back during Q&A that we are kind of off the mark, it's easy enough for Ian and Colleen to issue an amendment and raise that cap to 100. So it doesn't lock us, but it gives us a starting point, which I think is probably a good place to start, considering it was 38 8 years ago. 50 might be an okay number now.
Member Maxwell?
I was just going to say that I would go with the RFP as well, and I think that
I think that maybe we should stick to the 75,000 cap, and if we have to go up to 100, we should, but I think that 50, with you just saying even 38,000 8 years ago, it seems like 50 might be kind of low. And I don't want to scare people away with saying we're going to cap this at 50,000, and then they're not even going to want to put in a proposal. So I don't know what that number is. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that I would be going with the RFP as well.
I had a quick question, Madam Chair, through the chair to Colleen. This is my interpretation, right? Is let's say whoever we finalize, and it's a set amount, and we go through the process, and the new school committee is not satisfied with the round of candidates, right? We can do a fresh round again, and they will buy the cost of that outside of advertising. Is that correct? Like, we will not have to go back out based on what I'm reading. Is that accurate?
If that's what you're putting in your scope, like.
Yeah,
that they're gonna
that's what I wanted.
that's
So if
what
I'm doing, let's say, $75,000, and we have, let's say, in spring, we're not happy with what's been submitted to us, and we say, we might do an interim, we might do something, but we want to go out again, right? That company will swallow the cost of going through an additional round, and so long as we're paying, I think, for the incidental cost of advertising. Is that accurate?
As long as that's what you pick for your
That's
scope,
exactly
yes.
what again, I want to make sure we're open, transparent, we're not lowballing, we're doing a huge search, and if we're not satisfied with the candidates, then if we have to go again, then we, as a new school committee, would have to make that final determination. But I don't want to say, okay, we're stuck with, you know, I don't want to use the audit. I don't want to use that, because there's good ways of doing things and not. But I think if we do a solid foundation right now, right, it will pay dividends going in with the new school committee and going into the springtime. We've done too much work, legwork. I appreciate Member Donovan working on this. I appreciate you, Colleen, and other people working on this process. I want to get it right tonight so that we can go forward. Thank you.
I think we need to check with the mayor as to what his maximum is, because ultimately, if he doesn't go to the city council to get the money, we can't go to them to get it. So it has to be through him. And so we need to see what the mayor's maximum is. And I think we go with whatever he says, because that's how much money we're gonna get.
Good.
Okay. I think that's wise. I'm wondering if we could come up with an amendment saying that. I don't know if that's feasible. I will say, looking at other RFPs within the last 5 years in some communities, it wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be. So while we don't want to lowball, we don't want to give away the store. And so could we come up with some sort of amendment on going to the mayor? Like, or we'll just have to, okay. But, so we can make that request to the mayor, like, where are you standing on that? My concern is, as I've said for the last how many meetings, we are running out of runway. So many superintendent searches are closing now and offers being made. So whatever we can do to move this along. And I think I hope we're all in agreement on that. We can't drag our feet. So moving forward, we're all agreeing on the RFP. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay. We also need to check in with the mayor to see if he'd be willing to bring forth any additional funds we may need to the city council. Yes?
Sorry, I don't know why I raised my hand. It just happened.
I feel like the teacher in the classroom. Yes?
I guess I agree with that. I'm 100% on board with the RFP. I think in the interest of time, we put out a first to get the clock ticking, because this thing has to be posted
Yeah.
for a minimum of 14 days. Put it out at 50. Get the questions back during the
agree.
Q&A period. Then we're going to need some kind of special meeting to review those questions and talk about them as a committee. And then we can decide with the mayor's input and Ian, do we need to go up to 75? Do we need to go up to 100? Is the world upside down? We got to get to 150. Like, talking about a fiscal cap for this is kind of futile because we can change it at any point in time by filing an amendment. And we don't know yet, and we can word our RFP in a way to say, keep in mind that our cap is 50, but if we're wrong, tell us. And that way, these people will come back and be like, listen, to do this right, because all these companies have reputations they need to protect. And we can tell them to tell us if we need to get to 64, because that's the magic number. And we won't know that until the Q&A period. And I think if we can get ourselves to that Q&A period, it really changes the conversation for the table. And to Member Willette's point, you're spot on. If you get garbage, this is a retained search. So we're paying this company to get us a person. So whether they give us somebody or not, money's gone. We don't get a refund if they come back and can't do it. But the caveat to that is, and you're right, we will have to repay for advertising, which I think we need to be aware of when we sign a contract with the company as to how that money is going to be spent on advertising, because not that we want to limit them in any stretch, but if they do have to go out for a second or third round, that can be a hefty hit. So it's a fine line, Also, we need to be aware, because no one has said travel yet. Oh, you did a couple of days ago, which is why I thought of it. Someone's going to have to go out to this current person's location. They have to go out and inspect and do all these other things, and then we have to fly that person out here. So then we got to put them up, and then we got to feed them, and then we got to, you're hosting an exchange student, essentially, at that point. So it's just...
And we have to consider, you wouldn't send out one person for site visits. You'd have to send out a good representation of the screening committee. So it could get really very expensive.
Yeah, then the question becomes,
you
who is
just
the
need-
screening committee? Does the school committee next go around pick that, or does the consultant pick that and present it to the school committee?
My understanding, and correct me, is the consultant would make recommendations. And remember, we're the final decision makers. So do we belong in those initial groups? I don't want
I
to be
don't think
part of
so.
that at all. I think that would be unethical.
Agreed.
I think it would be truly unethical. So we would, because we make the final decision after other people have sorted through everything, done the screening, and then give us what they, because we've entrusted them. So, but I don't think that's the discussion for tonight, Mr. Shabilia. I think we need to address this stuff right now so we could get started.
Right. So, I guess where I stand is I'm in favor of getting the RFP out the door, and if that means putting 50 on it to get the clock started so we can at least get the questions in,
Yeah.
I don't know if we vote on it tonight, but I'd give the head nod to that.
Okay, do we do a head nod?
Yeah, Obviously, I'm on board with establishing a reasonable floor, and I think $50,000 would be that reasonable floor. I honestly, looking at this range, I think it's gonna be at least that.
Oh, at least, yes. But we don't know yet,
Well, but might be lucky, but then,
But I doubt it.
But obviously, I can't speak for the mayor, I can't speak for the city council, but to have the possibility of their involvement of funding a real, top-notch consultant for the next superintendent to allocate maybe an additional 25,000 maybe or so, I think that's definitely worth the investment. And we have the resources to do it, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what around there? What, okay.
All right, so we've agreed on the RFP.
Okay.
Everyone head nod, yes, all right.
So, I mentioned I had a preference for A, because I thought the scope of the services and the submission guidelines and the metrics, and us doing the assessment afterwards, and quantifying everything, plus having the insurance components, the identification of B. I mentioned that to Ms. McCarthy. I think that will solidify to have A, but also have the safeguards of B with the insurance requirements the indemnification. Other than that, I like the RFP, we're doing establishing a floor. So that would be my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
I agree.
Donovan.
I would like to add, I think we need to include 2 concepts from the other sample, and that is about training the board that is selected on legal and ethical interview practices. That is not noted because we could step in it if we don't follow the proper protocols. That would be number 6 from the other one, and, wait a minute, there's another one in there. I sent it in my suggestions. Oh my goodness, I don't see it. Yeah. Yeah, but I want to make sure that that is clear. It was in one and not the other, but I think the training of the process to everyone involved, the board needs to do that, because it could get mucky. The confidentiality piece, the kind of questions you can ask. Okay, did that make sense?
So when we say A, we're talking about
Yeah.
the one with the numbered
Yeah, is that whatever?
list, right? Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I- and I like
I'm on board with that. I agree with what Member Willett said. I like the one with the numbered, but there are also a few sections
That's
from the
where I
other
got-
one
I'm sorry.
that I think should be copied over.
I liked E, okay.
I think
I went backwards.
the only thing that I don't remember seeing is that I feel like we need a bilingual or a Spanish-speaking person from the consulting firm to be able to do the community outreach, because I feel like we need to make sure that everybody's represented.
So,
And again, looking at A and B, and I really don't want to open up Pandora's box. And I know we're not going to be happy if we don't have a diversified search group to field questions. But then it would said, I think B was talking about subject to final school committee approval. So I don't know if that's something we still want to do ultimately, whatever the component of that search group, we want to make sure it's diversified. Are we approving that group as a committee as a whole? Like up or down vote? Because then you get into the politics of, well, I don't like that person, I don't like this person, we're going to amend this. So how do we handle that?
So what I'm talking about is having a Spanish-speaking person from the company that we hire.
Okay.
Not the group, not the search group. So we're still talking about just the pieces of who we want the firm that we're gonna use to do the search. There needs to be somebody on that team that is able to communicate with our Spanish-speaking population.
I totally agree with that. So if that could be, what do you say, bilingual consultants preferred? Is that would be the proper, I would have no problem with that.
Well, I would also keep in mind that while I agree with that, we want to make sure that we're not limiting it, because there is a massive Haitian Creole population in the city. I think just identifying the fact that there is going to be a need for multilingual, which let them figure out how to do it. Let them tell us the best way. I've said it 1,000 times, Methuen is not special. Like, you know what I mean? These guys have done this all before. Let's let them come back and tell us, this is what we should do. This is does best case scenario makeup of a board. These are our options that we have internally to reach everybody in the community. And like, I think Member Donovan has said it in the past, like they'll be at football games, they'll be at hockey games, they'll be at, the Santa parade, and they'll be interacting with the community and trying to meet people and figure out and ask questions. And that's part of their shtick. So as long as they're able to communicate, I would like to think that a company who's built a reputation on this has done it once or twice. Here's to hoping.
And I'm sorry, I have righted my wrong, I believe. Sorry about that. to speak to what you said about the selection committee, I know that it can become a little political, choosing, right. So there is a bullet, determine the number, select and assemble a screening committee on the other proposal. And it does mention that the final selection, how the process is done with the school committee making a final, with approving the whole process. And I think that's something we need to think very carefully and purposely about. So it's not who someone likes, but we have a good representation. Are we pulling names out of a bag if more than 5 people apply for one position? So perhaps we want to include that bullet just to prevent wasted time down the road. Do you see that one, Ken? Do you know that? I mean, that might be a good thing to put in.
That's, that's the Pandora's box.
I
of,
agree.
I want to depoliticize the process
Well,
as much as
this might
possible.
help, just having that in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, like subject to
Okay.
approval, but it's like.
It says subject to approval,
The
yeah.
consultant will have the recommendations.
Right.
And usually, like in Congress, you do up or down. You don't amend it. You say, this is our list, this is the people we want, and we have confidence that it's going to be a diversified group, take into account the demographics of our community, right? And I would be voting that up or down, subject to final approval of the school committee. I'm not going to meddle with it or amend
We
it.
can't.
No, I don't want that, yeah.
So. if
Are we
I
all
can-
good with that?
Something I've seen in the past when doing similar projects is a blind committee, meaning that the consultant would come in and say, we've established a committee. They've gone out, they've done an interview process, they've picked, 2 parents from each school, plus 2 staff from each school, and someone from they've compiled, and they'll come up and say, this is the committee we've selected. We've got 2 parents, this many people, that many people, this many people, and they've interviewed everybody, they've vetted them. And then to remember Willette's point, it's either a yes or a no. So you don't even see names. That removes all the political from it altogether.
The only problem I have is, again, if we have that process and then it comes back to us through no fault of our own, is that we don't have a diversified group and they make that selection and it comes back on us, then that's a problem. So I don't know.
Well, but that could be
You know.
part of the presentation. We have, this many males, this many females, this many white, this many African American, this many Hispanic, this many Asian, and they can present all that data.
I think what we were talking about too is you're going to have certain teachers on that, obviously. You're going to have staff, you're going to have parents. Yeah, so I think that
Admin,
you need
you're
that.
going to need some, you need at least one, well, I
And
mean, and this is,
community
we need to
people.
focus on this, but
Yeah.
I think we're all of like minds right now,
Yeah.
which is,
Yes.
let's take a moment, shall we?
No, let's get out here early. Let's not take any moments. Come on now.
We're all in agreement about that. No, but I see, yeah.
I mean, I don't really, honestly, both ways, I think.
Yeah.
But do you agree that including that bullet would
that
help?
definitely
Yeah.
has to be done,
Okay,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
perfect, perfect.
So does it make sense for me to work with the purchasing department, put together the RFP, and send it out to you all to review before we post?
What do you envision for a timeline?
Well, next week's Thanksgiving, so I would envision maybe the week after, by the week after Thanksgiving.
I just have a question. So I took some notes on some other RFPs that I've kind of dove into. And I didn't notice in either one of these, I heard the conversation earlier about removing school committee members. One of my bullets was conduct a needs assessment through interviews, surveys, focus groups with school committee members, staffs, and families. But another one was advise on a search structure, open versus confidential, and internal versus external, and legal compliance. And I didn't see that in any of the scoping of services in either of these. Can we add that?
And I'm sorry, I just don't understand some of that. Confidential, like the first, What are we keeping confidential?
Um,
We have
Yeah.
to be, yeah, but I don't I just, the nuance
So just-
between you said,
I just,
What?
I liked the wording of advise on search structure where it's like open versus confidential or internal versus external, or there are just certain bullet points that go along with the search structure, and maybe they could present that to us.
would that be part of the training?
That would be part of the scope of services.
Yeah, but that could, I'm sorry, I think I'm just missing something.
Yes, please.
I think what she's saying is we should have a requirement in the RFP when they submit their proposals that for them to explain how they keep things confidential, how they conduct interviews, how they review all of the data, and how they're going to present it to us.
So, I
It
mean,
is, so it's not really super clear in either one of them, so I don't
I have no
disagree.
problem with that,
So,
go ahead, Ken.
this is a point of information, in the police management audit, right, they had in their disclaimer of every interview, every survey, we kept confidential. No one within that department knew about the contents of the surveys and stuff like that. So if we have something that the consultant within their presentation tells us that when we set up that search committee, and if it's a blind one, and, you know, we just said we're happy with it, this is your, set up a diversified search committee, right? Okay, right, and we do that, and we depoliticize the process, that they give us a guarantee that they will, you know, whatever they do with that is confidential. So I don't know if that language could be looked at. It was a pretty ironclad language within the police management study they asserted, because it was a major issue with the police department, obviously. So I don't know. That's something to explore.
Did I capture that? All right. Well, I think the concern is for confidentiality and for not only internally but externally.
Methuen, the rumor mill runs amok. And that's,
why the training is so important.
no, I agree with that too. I mean, that was the thing, like, the A was I was focused on, but I think what you said, the training we definitely need, and also that search committee, and depoliticize the process, and that we do either up or down approval, or it's a blind search committee. And maybe the new committee will discuss that, I don't know.
And
But-
I can't help but wonder, hearing this discussion, it's almost, and this is a silly comment, but like, do people sign NDAs now when they're part of these discussions? That's a good point,
I don't-
right? I mean,
it's-
I don't know, is this what we're coming to?
I think it's just human nature that people will volunteer that they're on a search committee.
Right.
Like,
But-
personally, I'd rather just have the search committee, this is the names, and it's an up or down vote. So if I say I don't like a person in that search committee, doesn't matter. I want the totality of that search committee. And I know the people on it, and I know it's diversified, end of story. But other people might want to talk about a blind search committee, like Member Shabilia said. I'm game either way. But I think we set up the foundation and just go through the process. And it's good to iron out these things now as we're going through, because I don't want to have anything coming back to us, well, you politicized this, and then you weren't open about this, and you weren't transparent. I don't want to hear that garbage. I really don't. Regardless of where we were on a committee, we had no open meeting law violations. We had good discussions, and we negotiated 2 major contracts, and we did a host of things as a committee. And we finalized 2 budgets, okay? So I don't want to hear anybody come back to us and say, well, you politicized the process. I said, well, give me the evidence. Give me the receipts. And we're doing it tonight. We're working as a group on this. So I think this is very healthy. Thank you.
So what are we doing?
So
So one more question. Will the project come with a timeline?
Yeah.
For them? I mean, like, with key milestones and deadlines, and like, will we have all of that?
Yeah.
That's in the,
I just want to add, keep in mind, because I do a lot of retained search at work for high-level positions. While you're going to set milestones and deadlines, when you're searching for candidates, they're all going to be malleable because you may not find somebody and then someone may pop out of the woodwork, you know what I mean, that just happens to see the link or the ad in Superintendent Weekly or whatever it is. So I want to advise that when we write this to be careful with how long. I mean, we do need to have a gate where we say, okay, present your candidates at this point, but like, you don't want that gate to slam shut. You want to leave it unlocked because otherwise you're rebuilding the wheel again afterwards.
Well, some RFPs, like, will say, the proposal, this must be available so we can execute it to hire someone on such and such a date. Would that be something we'd wanted to include in this?
I would make it a goal,
I think we should.
but the problem is there's no guarantee you find someone for such and such a date. There's these people, superintendents aren't out there just in a pile somewhere for us to go pick one. Yeah. Like, we still can't do the financial audit because
There's nobody.
no one's bidding on it.
Okay, so I guess the question is, what can we do right now so we can give Colleen all the information she needs to move forward? And
So
I
And
think
know
she's got
that-
it, right?
I think she's, I
has
mean,
everything?
we could recap. It says, I like A.
Yeah.
I like the suggestions of Member Donovan with B that she recommended. I know Member Maxwell had concerns about confidentiality. And what was the other components? That we're gonna do a floor of 50,000, and that we have the opportunity to reach out. Yeah, the stuff from B, in terms of the insurance, the issues that Member Donovan raised, and then the issues Member Maxwell raised, and then the issues Member Shibeli and I raised about having a floor, and then having the possibility of approaching the city. I don't know if there's anything beyond that. I think,
How do you feel?
I think I have everything.
Yeah.
I'll put it together. I'll run it by purchasing because I am not a purchasing agent, and then send it out for final review before we post it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And to assure everyone, Colleen can do that as long as because, the worry about open meeting law, which I hope you saw that email I sent, we can do certain things via email, as long as we're not deliberating and any of your responses go right to her, not to another member. So responding to those would be very helpful, especially as we get closer to doing something. Right? Is everyone comfortable with that? Because I know I was a little creeped out at first, but it's all okay. And Attorney McCarroll actually told me that other school departments working on similar concerns, like trying to hire a superintendent, are doing that. So that made me feel better.
I do think something worth note, I know that an RFP requires 14-day posting. If we're not going to do this until after Thanksgiving, which means it's not going to get posted till probably best case scenario, second week in December, 14 days is going to land you Christmas week, give or take a few days, because the calendar in my head. I would just out the gate either extend it or wait to post in January 2nd, because if you post it and have it due that week, everybody is on vacation. Like, we all know that. So, I don't think a week is going to change much in our world. So, except for the body that's sitting here.
I think we give flexibility anyways on that, right? Because obviously we're going through the process. If we need to go, if we're not getting any, like fish, we're not getting any fish, you still have to be out there on a boat, so.
We can extend the deadline,
Yeah,
but,
I would rather get it posted as soon
All right.
as
Yeah.
possible.
yeah.
Even if we say it's due January 6th, right? So we, like, the Tuesday after, whatever that is. I'm not doing the math well, but
I would just think you would want the responses for the new committee for the first meeting in January, right? To start.
welcome to
go
the
through.
table. Here's a giant stack of
Correct.
things for you to review, yeah.
We're happy to have you. Here you go.
I think we did, and I think we did it in record time.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Member Sevilla, second by Member Maxwell. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good night, Methuen.
There you
The meeting is adjourned at
Oh, I said
6:53.